Where? All right, welcome friends. It is nice to be back from a little bit of a hiatus there due to some shenanigans, but it's May 6th and welcome to the MVP Office Hours. I'm Square Kirshner. Joining us today is our good friends. We're all good friends, but Dale Ziegler and Joy Chutters-Helbing. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. We can always be reached by our normal Twitter handles and by the email, but like always, the success community is your friend. We've had some really good lift there. I'm really glad that that's been helping everyone. So let's keep that up. Coming up in the community, lots of stuff is hitting for the summer. So Czech Dreaming, Albania Dreaming, anybody who's going to Europe or Asia and wants to check something out, they're going on over there. London Calling in June, and Your Dreaming and Southeast Dreaming are coming soonly. And I think, I haven't heard a report, but Texas Dreaming and Northeast Dreaming went really well as what I was seeing on Twitter. So I'm glad that those went off without a hitch.
Definitely looked like a good time.
Yep. May 20th will be Summer 22 Admin Live, which bumps into our standard third Friday shenanigans. So once again, we'll be bumping that one to the 27th. I made the executive decision. I hope that's okay. And Connections is in June, and so is I'm sorry?
That's right before the holiday weekend.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Let's do it.
And of course, all the events, all of the webinars, all of the live events, everything can be found on the Waffle on Trailhead. So the next call then will be 27th. And the quick reminders, like always, we need you to participate, share your experience, share what you know, ask your questions. We're all trying to be better every single day. If you do have a question, you can post it in the chat or just make a mention that you have a question. We'll get to you as soon as we can. We'll try to keep track of everything. Post your links, post your ideas, post your responses to anything that's going on. And when you do have a question, feel free to share your screen. But remember, since we are recording, if it's proprietary or just not something that should be recorded for the infinite abyss of the internet, then probably shouldn't share. And all links are welcome, so keep putting them out there. Resource Hall of Fame hasn't changed much. However, we do have a quick topic in the start of the episode that will address the order of execution. If you haven't memorized that, you've got homework for the weekend. And that's where I'm going to lead off. Is Andrea, are you on today?
I don't see her.
Okay. So I just wanted to throw a thank you out there. We were talking about the order of execution, I believe the last episode. Actually, we talk about it all the time, but specifically the changes that happened in spring. And Andrea found a link on Salesforce Ben in which he, or actually a writer for his site, summarized the changes. Marlene Reeve made those changes, did a really nice flowchart or Visio or something of the order of execution and highlighted some of those changes as well. So if you missed that episode or you want to learn more, it's right there on the main page, and there's some links here. The other topic was Holly posted in the success community having some challenges getting related lists to fit where she wanted them. There was a lot of really good conversation. Molly, did you join today?
I don't see Molly either.
Okay.
But she got like 8 answers. So
yeah.
A lot of stuff going on.
And I think I was reviewing it today. If anybody read it, they'd know better. But I believe it was just a combination of understanding that she needed to customize her Lightning page and reference single related lists based on the lists that are available to the core layout. A lot of people lose that disconnect, right?
I saw something recently regarding this where instead of using just the multi-related list, all of the related objects were on the base like page layout, and then everything was single. And I was like, okay.
But I do have to wonder when that's going to get decoupled, just as we continue to get further and further away from Classic, as hopefully at some point standard objects will become dynamic, etc. Like surely there's going to be a detachment from Classic at some point where that related list requirement is no more. But I don't know.
Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then how do we know what columns are going to be there?
Also true.
Luck of the draw.
There was a lot of future looking
Goodbye.
statements being made at TDX last week about changes to the user interface and to list reviews and to kind of the whole UX. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see this sort of thing going forward. I feel like I read something about the reason that it's not recommended to just go full singles is because there's a lot of overhead for every single to be rendered, like
Yep.
evaluated and rendered. So, and you don't get to use that cool component that gives you the basically the hover, the pop over to jump to your related lists. But who uses that?
And I guess what I don't understand, this is, Michelle can probably attest. I've had to say a lot on the work side of things. I'm just the dumb BA guy. But if Classic has been trying to render all the singles this whole time, if you have, let's call it 20 related lists, how is that going to take any more time than 20 singles versus a group of 20? Like 1 times 20 is still 20.
It's just one component with 20 aggregations versus every component doing a render. That's where the overhead sits. Now, hopefully you don't have 20 related lists, but if you do, then there's different issues, I think, huh?
Fair.
Michelle, any thoughts there?
I think finding the mute button is harder than it's supposed to be today. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's this whole thing with page loading, and I mean, I always go with the quick links when we talk about related lists, unless it's desperately needed, just because no matter what you're trying to load, every single component you put on has a cost.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I'd be sort of curious. Would you stop it? Bad boy. The cat is bored, so he's trying to destroy my office. But like, so, I mean, is it 20 times 1 or is it 1 times 20? I mean, and really it may just be 20 times 1 is a little worse than 1 times 20 because it's really only 1 times however many actually render on the page until you start scrolling. But I
Mhm.
don't know if they've done any true like performance metrics around that, or if you like configure the page one way and run that little checker at the bottom and then configure it the other way and run it again and it'll give you any performance difference, or if it's enough to even notice. So just go with quick links and be done with it, right?
Sure.
Or what I do is I stick them on a tab and don't have them with the initial page load. And so that's the other way I kind of get around that. But that's just me.
I agree with
Oh.
that. I like the tabs for the data heavy stuff.
So I was under the impression that the tabs still load and they're just staggered components within the page. Is that not true?
I don't think they render until you try to access them.
Right. At least if they're on a separate tab. And I've noticed like for a long time when Lightning first came out, I put the related list on the page. And so it would load, but it would load in order as you continued to scroll. So I think it continues to try and load, but it sort of doesn't do much or impact much unless you're trying to get down to it faster than it can load on that just endless list of related lists in Lightning. Maybe.
No, I mean, makes sense. I do think too that the tab idea also ensures that it's mobile friendly. As soon as you've got a scrollable screen that has to then convert to mobile, you've got even bigger issues. So
This is all something though that I wish we could get more visibility into. Like I get that Salesforce as a product, Salesforce as a corporation, all the, like, they have to do all the safe harbors and there's marketing and all that kind of stuff. But I have had to pull myself out of so many almost Twitter fights over people complaining that things don't work because we don't have information like this to understand why are the related lists coupled versus not, what's the rendering, what's all of that. Like we're not launching rockets here, but if we had just a little bit more insight as to why, it might help us all be more productive admins, developers, consultants, whatever. If we had just like one more level of knowledge to understand the why. see golden circle on Resource Hall of Fame.
There it is.
So what else we got going on? Clark had a question about Salesforce Ben. Did we answer that or did I miss that?
No, and before we jump to Brandon, maybe that's a good just side tangent because it's really more opinion, I think, right?
I think so. And I think my take on that is that there are Salesforce Ben and some other third-party places of information are extremely reputable. But you have to vet them out. Like not everybody is reputable or up to date. Salesforce Ben, I feel like has created a brand around staying up to date. If anyone else disagrees with me, please tell me now so I can stop referencing them. But but here's the thing, they're reputable until you realize they're not. And it's hard though, because you're like, I don't know, I read this thing on the internet and if someone wrote it and it's published on the internet, it must be true. Well, it's not. And it's not always up to date. So Michelle, you're laughing at me, but you understand what I'm saying. So
Abraham Lincoln did put up an Instagram post right before the moment.
Don't you remember the State Farm commercial?
Which one?
The one where she's going on a date with the French guy?
Yes. Yeah.
It's on the internet. It has to be true. Bonjour.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes.
Here's my take. Yep. Salesforce Ben, Rakesh, any number like Adam Olshansky, any number of those people out there, they are awesome at what they do. They love what they do. They put out great information. By and large, they are single workers at it. Whereas Salesforce obviously has a whole army of people to keep their stuff up to date. I also look at it as like, if you purchase a big appliance or a major purchase or whatever, and it comes with a warranty, that warranty lasts as long as you use the product the way it was intended. If Salesforce is putting that documentation out and something changes and you need support, it's on Salesforce to provide that. If you go and modify something, it breaks the warranty and whoever in the community stops updating their site, you voided your warranty. So go with what's going to give you the most support, which doesn't get any more supporting than Salesforce, but not to discredit those who evangelize and take it further and maybe peel the layers back a little bit further to really get under the hood because they're passionate about it, but stick with Salesforce.
And to one other thought there is that I do feel like the better bloggers, the better evangelists are more than willing to reference their sources and to kind of publish the caveat that this is my understanding and not try to publish it as gospel. And so as long as you kind of keep that in check, it aligns with what you were just saying, Dale. So find someone that you trust that has never let you down and stick with those.
And ask the community. I mean, hey, I found this resource. Does anybody have experience with it? You know, is it one that I should trust or not trust? And I mean, trust but verify. You know, take what they say and try it out for yourself. And if it doesn't work, then, well, you know, don't try it in prod. But yeah, I think there's a lot of us that put content out there that's the best of our knowledge, but I think most of us will tell you none of us are the end all be all experts. None of us wrote it. So we could always be mistaken.
Right.
The best advice I ever got from a manager was if anyone ever declares themselves an expert, be fearful of them.
Yep.
Except for me, I'm an expert at being a screw up, and that does not need to be verified.
Stop.
I disagree. I disagree.
Troublemaker then?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you've confirmed.
Oh yeah.
that.
No, we're not gonna fight you on that one.
All right.
Why don't we jump back to Brandon's question, or I should say follow-up.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, I had asked about how somebody would go about creating a real-time display of customers on a prospect account based off of industry of that account. Got some great advice. I forget who it was, but they said, look at display flow And so I built something. It sort of works. Enough to at least feel like I've made progress. And I'll share if you guys are okay with that.
Please.
So the idea is, oh, here, let me zoom in a little bit. You can see all my tabs up here, and I threw it under the LinkedIn tab because I didn't know where to put it. But this is a sports account, and these are all sports customers of ours. How my flow is written is probably, I think getting the customers loop and assigning it is, I think I'm supposed to assign it to something that then assigns it with a format, because as you can tell, my display is just like a list, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So, but I'm really excited that I got this far. So, does anybody know how I can fix this? And I'm not looking for you to like document and walk me through it for like 5 minutes, but like, does that make sense?
Are you looking for it to be more like a related list? Or are you looking for links, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, I do. I mean, literally all I want is like, first of all, to get this bracket out of here, get the commas out of here, and use a little bit of HTML to like format it, or even do it as like, yeah, like an unlisted list, like you'd see with an HTML. And let me know if you want me to go
I
to
don't have an answer. I was just looking for clarification.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. Because you can see right, what I'm doing is I'm adding the customer name, I'm putting a space, I'm adding the state that it's in, and then I'm doing a page break so that you get that layout.
I think you'd have to do this with a formula, because I don't think you can add things like this to build what you're looking for. Adding is what you do with a collection, in terms of, if I have a stack of papers and instead of like my variable needing to be set to one value in one piece of paper, I need to add multiple to the stack. Then I have a collection where I can add additional pieces of paper on top of that stack. So I think you're going to want a formula here instead that you then loop through to continue to add more to it. I've done something very similar to get a bulleted list of products on an opportunity. And I would be happy to actually just Sherpa you through this if you wished. Like, we could set up some time and go through it.
Yeah, or if you just send me a screenshot of like how you said it. I mean, I'm not, like, I appreciate the effort there. Like a bulleted list would be phenomenal too.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is I want to limit it to like the first 5 or 10. And I know you can do that in one of these, I think it's the collection filter. I forget, but whatever, it says the first 10 or last, whatever. So
Collection sort.
yes, whatever you guys just said. And to the point about resources and what you can trust or not trust, like I literally just like Google for different things like this and try whatever works. And then that's how I trust, like, if it worked, great. If it doesn't, but like, I'm not touching any of the system stuff. So like I stay within the Salesforce parameters. So any resource is a good one as long as I get my output. So
yeah, I put this suggestion in the chat, but you could also use a data table component from Unofficial SF to just display the collection, and you wouldn't even have to loop at all.
is that one of those? So I looked at that, and that one they have to kind of download or add it to
Yeah,
your,
you might not have access to it. So
well, I mean, I can do whatever I want with our org, but I'm always getting leery of those things. Is it's like, all right, how much does it get supported? If it breaks, what do I do?
yeah,
So, but this is
yeah,
very helpful.
data table is one of the more used and therefore I think more supported components out there. So I have it all over. If it breaks, I'm in trouble.
Well,
I don't think Eric will let that happen.
no, and he's great from a support and a question answer perspective. Don't be afraid of Unofficial SF, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I feel like that one's really solid, and so I appreciate it. All right, that was all I had, but I at least wanted to share some update that people got me part way through the journey, and I feel like I'm getting there. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Follow-up question though, when do you have any influence on getting Bally Sports on Hulu Live? Because that's a little bit of a pain point in some of these markets.
I do not. They're actually not even a customer of ours, but we gave them like a free instance. So
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, no, that's a pain point for a lot of people. So yeah. Now the playoffs, at least everybody's on ESPN for hockey, but yeah, for everything else, good luck.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna just change topics just for a second because I'm super excited. We have 3 brand new MVP joiners. If you're not watching the chat, this is awesome to have like fresh blood coming in, sharing and being part of it. So welcome everybody. It's awesome. It's awesome to see you join.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So having said that, what have we got next on the chat today? Does anybody have new questions that we need to add?
I shared an upcoming project I have that I'm starting to research on. I'm not sure if it's next in the queue.
It is. It is. It's next.
Okay. Sorry, my novel of a comment in the messages. So we are launching Salesforce surveys, utilizing it as our survey tool. But of course, we're not going to make it as easy as just enabling it on the platform and utilizing it there. We are embarking on setting up a multi-step to our marketing cloud instance. And another element of that is managing our marketing cloud contact count. So we've got a lot of resources from our account team, marketing cloud account team, and our platform team, and trying to piece it all together. But just wondering if anybody has an experience with surveys yet, or hooking up a multi-org instance within marketing cloud, or potentially going against best practice and clearing out some of your contacts in marketing cloud to lessen that count, because we're starting to research all of that. So just eager to hear if anybody has any experience.
I've never done all those things, but as soon as you start talking about A and B and C and D, whatever, draw it all out, visualize the flow of everything, the decision points, because it's so easy to lose track of what's happening and it gets out of hand really fast.
Thank you. Yeah, we love, we have I forget what it's called. It's not Miro and it's not Visio, but we have another thing that we use for our flow charts.
Good.
But thank you. Yeah, that's awesome.
So does it feel like there's like 3 or 4 kind of questions that are all tangentially connected here? So as far as the multi-org, are you having challenges or just concerns?
I'm just beginning to start researching it and understand what it looks like. So we already have 5 business units set up right now. And so just understanding, I guess, if there is any major ramifications that anybody has seen to make sure I keep in mind.
Sure. So, and just to clarify too, so 5 business units with 5 separate orgs, or businesses within a single org?
Within a single org right now. So we're gonna utilize one of them to, this is what we think so far, utilize one of them to hook up our new org.
The new marketing cloud org?
Yes.
Yeah.
Connect up the new org to the marketing cloud. Yep.
So we're using marketing cloud right now. We have 3 unique orgs, and one of our orgs has multiple business units connected. So we're using multiple data connectors, and everything's working really well. Do you have an implementation partner, or are you doing it on your own?
We don't have an implementation partner, but if you know any that are highly regarded and trustworthy, and
Can't do both. I'm sorry. I have names. I'm not going to put my head on the block for anybody, but there are some really good marketing cloud consultants out there that can definitely help with. This is a very straightforward implementation ask from the multi-cloud and the multi-business unit to one cloud or to one marketing cloud connection. It's pretty straightforward. They would be able to help and probably give you a lot of lift as far as training. So I would recommend doing some poking around. Dale, Joy, do you have a marketing cloud guru or anyone on the call that you would point Kathy toward?
I actually have not touched Marketing Cloud. I've got HubSpot and Pardot in my history, but not Marketing Cloud.
Okay.
Right.
We used Magnet 360 and that was fine. And we just didn't set the right expectations with them. So it's not a dig on them as much as our success was partially because of our business case. So so they were good. Are you a member of the Marketing Cloud Success Group?
Yep, I just joined them. Or
Yeah.
the Marketing Cloud, there's a community group. I'm not sure if this is the success, but I'll check
Yeah.
out.
I would post there. I mean, everybody's had interactions with partners and someone's got to have an example.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
And where are you located?
I'm in Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, okay. So
Mhm.
I'm in Kansas City. So, and then we've got a whole bunch of Midwest representation here. So I would say we could probably collectively pool our heads together to find you a local resource. You definitely, for something like this, would want to try to start with a local partner before branching out to something national. So, okay.
Okay, great.
Michelle, do you want to speak to your post?
Oh, sure. So Jyotsna Bitra, I always butcher her first name. She goes by JB in the community, but she's very active in Marketing Cloud with the community. She put on a boot camp last year to help get people certified, and she is a Marketing Cloud consultant. So not necessarily recommending her as a consultant, have no experience with her, but she's an excellent resource and person to be in touch with and could also provide you with some guidance or get you connected with other people that should be able to. And if you're not already hooked up with the local user group, Terry Miller is phenomenal and amazing. So hook up there. And if you want to just lean a little bit to the east, you can always come join us in the Cedar Rapids user group too. So we'd love to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, I attend the Des Moines user group every time I can and love Terry, and I've watched you present as well. So I'm a little fangirl of you guys. So thank you.
Aaron, is your post another reference or another consultant? Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You bet. All right, so then jumping over to survey. Actually, before we go to survey, let's all grit our teeth a little bit and talk about contact cleanup and deleting data just because it's noise. Who wants to start?
I guess the first question is, are you doing anything that needs to be in compliance with GDPR, California, Canada, any of the information purge regions of the world?
So we do, so our only compliance kind of effort that we comply with is making sure that we have unsubscribes within a timely manner and have the ability to unsubscribe on emails. I think that's the extent of what we've maybe baked out so far. Where we kind of started analyzing this was looking through the subscribers that we haven't sent to at all in the life of our Marketing Cloud org. And there's a good amount. So that's why we thought that maybe there was opportunity to clear out these counts when we do hook up our new org so that we can just utilize this existing count. But yeah, that's a little bit that is a piece of it, is working with our legal and compliance side and seeing what their requirements of us are.
Gotcha.
And is the concern that you're constantly marketing to this group of people that never respond? Or just
our
in the database?
I'm sorry, was the last piece?
I said, or are you just concerned about the number of contacts being stored in your cloud like repository?
Yes, the latter.
Okay.
Yep.
And so say more about that. I mean, data is just data. Is it where are the concerns? Where are the risks?
Yeah. So when we met with our marketing cloud account team, they advised us to purchase more contacts, and we've invested a lot of money into. We have two orgs going right now that we're trying to build out. So we've invested a lot of money. We've had failed implementation partners, and I think we're in a place where as a company, we don't want to keep shoveling money into it. So if we could save on the contact count, lower it because if we're not utilizing it, then actually give those contact counts to folks that we're actually going to be sending to is our thought. But we've also been admonished that it's against best practice, that once you delete a subscriber, then you don't have any history. And then when they're recreated, their settings aren't saved for whether or not they've subscribed or not. And so it's just a precarious kind of path right now.
So I started to embark on that process like 5-6 years ago it was towards the end of my time as an admin and I was moving into consulting, but knowing that Canada was changing its laws to explicit opt-ins and we were sending emails to US, Canada, et cetera. I started to go through and I mean, it required access and a lot of CSV exports or whatever, but started going through all of my contacts and saying, how many cases do we have? And we know we're purging cases after 7 years. How many activities do we have? And those, they auto archive after a year, et cetera, and started to push up and ask, what is the actual important data in Salesforce as it pertains to our contacts and our accounts? If we know they don't have any cases in 7 years, if we haven't logged any calls with them, if we're sending them emails and they're not opening them or they've opted out of receiving those emails, like at some point, it begs the question, do we need to have it? Is it best practice? I could argue either way, but if your proposal were to, let's say, delete the contacts that you don't need, but there's worries about, well, what if they resubscribe, whatever, be proactive and tell them, hey, we're going to purge your information. Should you choose to opt back in to being part of our information base, you're going to start from scratch. Just be explicit and transparent, which, I mean, really, like, everywhere is going to be tightening their laws more and more over time, that you really are going to have to be more and more explicit. So get ahead of the curve. Tell your contacts exactly what you're doing with their information and what next steps would be should they choose to come back in.
I like that.
Then you'll be able to get your counts down. You'll get a better picture of, okay, maybe we do need to purchase more contacts, but we've made an informed decision of why we're making that purchase and how much.
Nice.
It's not all just data. It's what has value. If it has no value, then don't have it.
Yeah, certainly. I like that. Thank
Do
you.
you have a compliance team that can evaluate like your plan and sign off that they're in agreements?
Yes. Yeah. We're working pretty closely with our compliance and legal department as we start to define these things, because we're getting more of our operations teams on the platform. That's what our new build is. So we're finally in a place where we can start really asking those questions of what are this, like, is there a 7-year policy for this particular record? Is there what does this look like? And
Sure.
That type of thing.
Because I would think that they're also going to be able to drive a little bit to say like what is like the data residency ruling. So let's say like, how long do I have to archive and where do I need to report? And if we do this, do we now need to turn off delete functionality in our orgs so that there's always a system of record, point of reference, things like they could probably help drive a lot of those decisions for you.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. All right, then the last question in your post had to do with survey. And you're using Salesforce survey?
Yeah, we're going to use Salesforce surveys. So we're pretty excited about it, have it on platform, and it's pretty snazzy, simple, does everything that we need it to do. And I think the only piece is setting up some type of triggered send or something to shoot over to Marketing Cloud to be able to email out that invitation, because we're anticipating that we will be within, I think there's mass email limits that survey invitations are subject to. So we're anticipating that that's why we're needing to hook up Marketing Cloud. So I guess if anybody has any experience about sending some type of triggered send over, or maybe you have a journey set up, is the routes that we're exploring right now.
I mean, it sounds like you're right on the standard recommendation of you shouldn't blast the world with a survey invitation. You should have a journey that drives people who are engaged in some way. So like you're already on the right track, right?
Thank you. Trying to be.
And what are you doing? Is the survey data going to be feeding downstream flows, or is it just collection for right now? What have you got in mind?
Yeah, we want to be able to hook it back, bring it back into our platform and hook it up to the contact or lead or even the user or the case. So that kind of close the loop, bring it back so that we can have some, or we can see those responses. Users can see those responses as well. We'll probably have something where we extract the data and send it downstream to we have like some data warehouses where we do, our data management team does a little bit more analytics on it. So it might be something that we also push elsewhere. But yeah, that's another piece is bringing it back and tying it to that case or tying it to that contact.
Okay. So the one thing that I have to ask, only because we dealt with something similar and ended up having to panic a little bit. Without too much detail, the questions that you're asking, are they concrete answers like yes, no, true, false, 1, 2, 3 type responses, or are they open source text box type things?
It'll be a rating, for sure, like a 1, 2, 3 rating. And then I think some yes, no, or maybe some like agree, strongly disagree. We might have one text at the very end.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I ask because, as silly as it sounds, there's a real science to writing a good survey. Science in both the scaling, in the way questions are answered, so that you don't end up with hundreds of surveys coming back and realizing that it's all a wasted effort, because no one likes to do a survey twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're thinking about that already, you might even have resources in like your technical writing teams or in your legal teams to kind of help with, or even marketing. Like here's how to write a survey so that you don't end up with wasted effort. I think it's really valuable. And I say that because a study that I read a long time ago had a long conversation about how scaled response surveys actually tell you nothing. And the reason is because most of the time when you ask a question, not you, just when a person asks a question, you're really trying to drive toward an answer that is polarizing. But by creating a scale, what you end up getting is your standard deviation sits in the I have a strong opinion, like the 1s and the 10s. And the rest of the world sits in that 6, 7, 8, or 4, 5, 6 range, and which actually dumbs down your data. So when you're writing your questions, writing your surveys, you should ask yourself, do I really care about a scale of 10, or do I want yes, no, or don't care? Because if that's all you care, then that's what the scale should be. So then you have things that you can act on. And there's a lot of science to that too, but we found that we averaged 5 on several of our survey questions, and that told us nothing because our scale suggested that was always going to be a 5. So it's it's an interesting conversation and some interesting science to that survey.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Thank you for that.
Scale an answer of 5 means we're doing okay.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Maybe.
or I'm just apathetic and I click the middle of the scale, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I do this demonstration pretty regularly for my teams because we like to do surveys, and then there's this cool metric of based on population and the way a question is written, you get like a bell curve of responses, but that doesn't tell you anything other than, yes, your standard population centers in the middle. On the other hand, if you make it yes or no, obviously you have yes or no, but then that also just kind of gives you this polarization of thumbs up, thumbs down. So you have to kind of find a way to make that balance to answers that are applicable to a question that means something to the person who's reading it. Yeah, I'll stop rambling. It's a fun bit of information. So anyway,
Definitely. Yeah, thank you for that.
all right. I think I droned everyone to sleep. Does anybody have other questions or other feedback for Samantha?
I think there is only one point I want to say is everything you're doing and you're talking about is very exciting, but I want to bring it down. But make sure you have enough people to manage all of that, because the business is asking for things, but you're starting to spin up a marketing cloud and a survey. The survey might be a smaller piece, but the marketing cloud is a huge piece, and it comes with a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy as managing just accounts. Now you're creating, paths for customers and all that kind of stuff. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, the more transparent you can be back to your stakeholders about what all is going on, what's on the roadmap, what's making you go fast versus slowing you down, the better.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I do feel the weight of it. I'm definitely feeling the weight of it, and knowing that we're embarking on a big project, a big effort, and yeah, definitely transparency and communicating with our stakeholders and making sure they're aware of all the efforts and the maintenance and all of that. So thank you for that call out. Yeah.
And also, I mean, I don't know how mature your company's process is with any of these systems, but get some power users, get some volunteers that are willing to help advocate on the stakeholder side for you and help you test, help you break some things, help you brainstorm some stuff.
Nice. Yep. Yeah, we're still little, I would say, sure. We've only had a few years in on the platform and a few years in on Marketing Cloud, and it's a continuous learning curve. And yeah, I definitely lean on my power users and super users in different spaces. So definitely, that's a great call out. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
There are two things for mine. Number one is I think you should definitely focus on the data residency, which is very, very hard to handle when it comes to Marketing Cloud and Salesforce and how you're going to handle it. And I think Scotty already covered it, like how you have to work with the legal team to get the process or the recipe from them so that you don't have to make any assumptions building it, because and I represent a consulting firm. So most of the clients what I work with, they assumed they built something, but the legal team show up and they completely rip off everything. Then you have to redo everything from scratch. So I would highly bank on getting a pre-approved process before you start implementing anything on the platform. So that's number one. And number two, I'm not an expert in Marketing Cloud. I handle Sales and Service Cloud, but in our firm, we have Marketing Cloud practice, and we have Elliot, who is also an MVP, and I can definitely make introduction. You don't have to do business with us, but you can set up like 20-30 minutes, talk to them, and if they can give you any kind of input, that probably might be helpful to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Time check. We got about 15 minutes. Is anybody sitting on anything else that they wanted to put out there? Everything's going so great that nobody has a challenge that they want to share, or maybe even a success. It doesn't have to be a question. It can just be a look what I did. Any TDXers?
Just two? Just two? Man.
I went to Ned.
Yeah,
This is
we were
good
in Rhode
call.
Island.
All right.
Yep.
So,
What
you know
I
what?
couldn't
Tell
stop
us about
thinking
Ned.
about last weekend was that TDX and TXD were the exact same time.
Uh-huh.
I actually thought there was a mix up with someone's hashtag, and then I was like, oh, no, no. Mm-mm.
Right. That could get awkward real quick.
I mean,
Yeah. 3 conferences on top of each other. Oops.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Ned.
Yeah, Sarah, tell us a little bit about Ned.
It was fantastic. I, being the people's people extrovert to the extreme, I was like, oh my God, this is feeding everything that I have been missing for 3 years. Like, it was amazing. I loved it. Michelle
my
taught some really awesome hands-on training on Flow.
It's my 3rd time there. It was the 3rd excellent conference that they've put on. So, but yeah, I got to teach a couple of Flow hands-on sessions, which was a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, I attended not this streaming the second day, and I apologize to Michelle, but I will also apologize, Sarah. I couldn't able to meet you in person to say hi, but I attended the first day at Trailer DX, and then flew that night, and then attended the next day. It was very tired. Yeah, I couldn't able to attend the first half, but I was speaking on that afternoon, so I need to rest myself. So I just showed up and just did my session. It was fantastic. All I learned is like it was well matured and organized in a way that nobody could able to miss any of those. And I was so jealous that there are so many good topics which I couldn't be able to attend, and all of those are happening at the same time. So kudos to the Northeast Streamer team.
I 100% leveraged my community group leader status to reach out to people who had presentations I didn't get to go to and invite them to my user group to present so I can see it.
That's my plan.
Smart.
Speaking
Very
of
smart.
user groups, aren't you talking to Chicago on Thursday next week, Michelle?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you need more Michelle, Thursday, let me know if you need the link.
We all need more Michelle.
Aw. Speaking of, I got to bounce because I got to go start automation hour. Cassie Supolowski is presenting today. So go Chicago Hana.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. Chicago's
Very
hopping.
cool.
Fun times. Bye. Tell Cassie we say
Michelle.
hi.
Will do.
Cassie is Chicago's nonprofit user group leader. So we're just everywhere. Everywhere. No more questions, nothing going on. Oh my gosh.
I do. I can pick your brain.
Let's hear it.
Simple, basic stuff. Yeah, I'll put my video on too. See, so we are working on. So we have 2 Salesforce orgs. They're both completely different. We're combining them. Some of you maybe heard it before, but we're working on combining the 2. We're getting CPQ from Salesforce. So we're going to implement that. So because we have 2 Salesforce, we have my issue right now is I need to come up with a mapping of the objects, of the relationships. So all the data model, basically. The accounts, contacts, all the information. It's very fun because we now have duplicate accounts across 2 orgs because they're not connected. So I have that on top of that. Then I still have the same normal issue that you will get in Salesforce. There's duplicates accounts. One account is called, I don't know, PNG Mexico, PNG USA, PNG Wisconsin, PNG New York, PNG Los Angeles. And in Wisconsin, maybe there is PNG Racine, PNG Milwaukee, PNG, I don't know, you name it.
Gee, Wisconsin thinks they're special. Liar.
Yeah, so I
Only
live in
'cause I'm here.
Wisconsin too. So yeah, so I was kind of, so I'm using like things like Field Trip, the whatever the tool that you can see the objects is the little box with the connection
The
in
schema
Salesforce.
builder?
And stuff. Yeah, the schema. Yeah. Keep
I've been
forgetting. I
fighting
clicked
with
on it a million times, but I keep forgetting what's it called. So I guess is that one of those things like, don't do this, or here's your tool, it will fix all your problems? I know there isn't, but yeah, so I just wanted to talk about a little bit that, how do I approach this? Do I just really have to do the work, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the first question is, do you have budget to purchase tools, or are you stuck in the realm of free?
No, that's fine. Yeah, it depends. I mean, we're in a pretty good investment streak right now. So if you're coming up and say, hey, there's a magic tool, there's a dream, and it's this much amount of money, it might not be crazy.
Right. Because I mean, there are tools out there, whether they were built on the platform or like if you use Lucidchart or anything like that, that have the
Right.
Salesforce connectors to go like grab it, map it, and plot it out there.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't have any specific tools in mind, but that's the first fork in the road for so many in your position is, can we pay for stuff or no? One of the big things that it's been a few months since I've played with it, but in Workbench, if you're able to connect using Workbench, and I know a lot of companies put the kibosh on that, but you can get a lot of object relationship information about your org just from Workbench, copy it into Excel. And if you can start to pick apart a lot of the parameters, you can get a ton of insight and intelligence into like object relationships and things like that for free. Are you able to connect to it? And do you have the couple of hours to, once you understand how it's all set up, then like you can run 1,000,000 miles an hour consuming and modifying that information to get what you need. It's the time startup investment to break it down.
Yeah.
Same thing if you're using VS Code and able to grab packages and break down the XML files. It's free in terms of money out of your pocket, but a startup cost of learning how to get it, how to use it.
Right.
But then from there, it's repeatable.
Yeah. Okay.
How well documented are the orgs right now?
You're looking at it.
All right, cool. Then I think there's value in a spend right now because it'll do two things for you. One, it'll document so that you can convert, and two, you'll have a fully documented org when you're done as well. Like that spend doesn't feel like, Ernesto can't get the work done. It's more like this tool is the only way this gets done the right way, regardless of who's doing it. And like, I think to Dale's point, like the one that always pops in my head is Elements Cloud, but I mean, that's just the one that I saw 100 times at Trailblazer DX, but there's a lot of tools that could help you document the orgs. And now you've got that output that Dale's talking about that you can iterate on and then do it again when you're done and say, look how much smarter we are now. So.
Right. Yeah, for sure. We'll be smarter.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah.
Project.
Someone will be, right? As far as the data conversion, there's no easy way to do that. Or at least that I'm aware of. Dale, Joy, anybody?
I mean, see earlier regarding what's your data policy? Is there a single source of truth winner? Is there an account number that you can key off of or something that then lets you match? And then when you find duplicates, is it a most recently updated? Is it a first created, last created? Like make your decision points of what the ultimate winner ends up being. Are either of your Salesforce orgs considered the source of truth or the golden record for your company when it comes to account or contact?
No, because they're coming from two different companies.
And so
we acquire one.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So it's a whole different level. Yeah. But that's a good point though. So what I was thinking lately is to kind of start jumping over to the ERP systems. Because the ERP systems will have the customer, the real ones, let's say. But then, there's a little bit of a data slicing and dicing there to do to compare. Because that's really the source of truth. That's where they get the money out of. So Salesforce is kind of like you have the salesperson that will write PNG Mexico, PNG Mexico one. And then you have, the data, which is the country, it's Mexico, but you don't know which one it is, right? So I think maybe there's a way to jump to the other system, which is a little bit more cleaner, I guess, but I'm not 100% sure. That's kind of like, we'll say, the source of truth kind of version of it.
Yeah.
But no, the
Focus
two
on-
Salesforce. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, focus on like the source of truth is so important because it's actually done data standardization for you, which now you've got a point of reference regardless of how you dedupe. So it doesn't have to be ERP. It could be, you could use all three for that matter to maybe come up with your final source, but you still have to standardize and align in some way. And the point of reference is going to be something.
Right. Yep.
The last thing you want is the outcome of this to have your data be in a silo.
Yeah. Right. So what does the element, you say element UI?
Elements tool or
Elements
Elements Cloud is the company.
Okay.
They've got a schema like reader, and they do built-in documentation and some other stuff. It's just like, and there's others. That's just the one I knew off the top of my head. There's quite a few of them.
Okay.
Way more friendly than Schema Builder. Way more persistent than a lot of the other tools like copy and pasting Excel, things like that.
I'm only laughing because I've been struggling with Schema Builder and Lucid Chart like this week.
Did you start taking screenshots of it?
No, like it's just so much more than what the business needs to see. Like the business isn't interested in all the fun, but once upon a time, I was lucky enough to merge two orgs. I was also lucky enough to have an outside system as the source of truth. So when there were duplicates, we knew like we had a key that told us like if they were the same thing or not. So
yeah, I think I can leverage that. That's my kind of after I do all this analysis part.
Yeah, because I can't even, like, my brain hurts to think about like just bringing everything over.
Yeah. I want to do that. Yeah.
No. And then deduping it, like that's just dedupe it first.
Yeah. I was hoping that I can go to the business and just say, look, there is no opportunities. It's not an account. Done. Delete.
Right.
We'll see.
Archive it into a file. Bye-bye.
If I get a yes, but no, I'm just kidding.
Can't hurt to ask, right?
Right.
So
cool. Thank you.
Yep. I also shared out their cloudtoolkit.co. It's another one of those, it's a few years old and it's based, going back to the top conversation of, it's supported by a handful of people that they support it when they can. So it may be a few API versions old, but there's some pretty good tools in there. I think we've talked about like field trip, if you can minimize how many fields you need. One of the things I did when I was an admin, do you have Conga by chance?
Yep.
So I built for myself a repeatable kind of URL thing that, you can put variables in, it's either in the queries or in the URL, but essentially I rendered myself like pick list usage within each field, and it looped through all the pick lists. So use tools like Conga that will allow you to plop things into the statements and drop it into an Excel book. Like you may already be paying for the tools, so use them. Yeah,
good idea. Yeah, for sure. It's a good idea. Yeah, thank you. For sure. Yeah, because there you can do queries. You can do
I gotta go, everybody.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. So great to see everyone.
Good to see y'all.
Can't believe it's 2 o'clock.
So much fun. So much fun.
I know. I have to go to a meeting. Bye.
Everybody else go hop over to Automation Hour, or else we'll see you on the 27th.
Yeah, go to Automation Hour.
That's where I'm headed. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye all.
Take care, everyone.